into it. All right, fantasy football season continues, and the injuries continue to be problems, and unproductive players continue to be problems, and so the waiver wire continues to be our oasis for a helping hand. We haven't really had that, oh, this guy is a league winner type of a waiver wire pickup just yet. Hey, Toxic, how's it going? We haven't really had any of that so far. We had a couple guys who have helped, and one guy who we mentioned on last week's that really helped in a big time way, even if you didn't necessarily throw them into your lineup, which absolutely, I had them on my bench. Toxic, of course, one of the teams in the Fantasy Vampire League that we did for some friends of the Twitch as the season got going. For me personally, I had Juwan Jennings on my bench last week in the Vampire League. I had him, and it was one other person. Oh, I had Charbonnet on the bench as well. Those two guys alone outscored my starting lineup. Not a good week in the Vampire League for me. Gonna try to break out of this slump this week, but this has been much more of a challenge than I expected it to be this year. But these waiver wire pickups could help as we continue in that process. So we'll start at the quarterback position. If you're looking for a streaming option this week, Sam Darnold is, gosh golly gee, a pretty good one for you to have. He is 30% owned right now. Facing Green Bay is tough, but he has been quite good so far this year. And this is not necessarily as much a trust in Sam Darnold as this is a trust in this offense. They have got Aaron Jones rolling. Ty Chandler has shown that he can actually be a pretty strong option for this group as well, if you wanted to go with a 2 RB set. And then, of course, Justin Jefferson is quite good at the sport of football. Darnold has been able to efficiently move this offense up and down the field, put them in positions to put up some points, and I think can be a bit more of a longer-term option as well, maybe even just beyond a 1-week start. So he is someone who I'm absolutely looking at 30% owned. Right at our cutoff for 35% owned is Bucky Irving. 9 carries, 3 more targets for the second time in 3 games so far this year. And again, quite frankly, he has looked like the better running back so far out in Tampa Bay. And so I anticipate those looks are going to continue. Those opportunities, that's what I was looking for. Those opportunities are going to be there for him as well. And there is going to be a real growth chance for him to come out and really set the tone for being a guy in that backfield and getting some real opportunities for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. At wide receiver, there's 3 we're looking at right now. 32% owned. It's still Juwan Jennings. We've absolutely seen Juwan Jennings last game as a 40-point scorer in fantasy football, but we do have a few opportunities, I think, for him to come up with some good fantasy points. Hey, Conrad, how's it going, bud? Thanks for popping by. Really appreciate it. I think Juwan Jennings is going to have some opportunities. Brandon Ayuk looks like doo-doo. Deebo Samuel, I don't think is expected to be back this week, and George Kittle, limited practice this week. They're playing New England. Now, they have just come off of a couple of real stinkers, so maybe they may feel a little bit they may feel a little bit more pressure to throw them in. But still, I do think that there is a opportunity that Jennings is going to work a little bit more into this offense. Sorry, Conrad, about the ad. Apologies for that. But I think he is an option. I do think Alan Lazard at 30% owned. I have had him, and I have guessed wrong every time on when to actually put him into the lineup. But I do think this is a week that you can go for it. They are playing the Denver Broncos this week. Last week, Denver played Tampa Bay, and they just took Mike Evans right out of the game plan. Patrick Surtain III did a very good job of shutting him down. And that is kind of similar to what the Jets experienced on Thursday, where Gonzalez was over kind of just shadowing Wilson and looking to take him out of the game plan. And thusly, Alan Lazard was able to pick up a few more opportunities. I think something similar can happen this week. Not that Wilson is a sit or anything like that, but I do think there's going to be some volume chances for Lazard. And it's very obvious that Aaron Rodgers has trusted him in the red zone for the first couple of weeks of the season. So I think there's an opportunity for him. And the last one is Darnell Mooney. It is very clear, again, that teams are really targeting London and Pitts and taking them away. And Kirk Cousins is very good at taking the path of least resistance. And for a lot of times, that has been Mooney. So again, I think there's going to be more volume than you think for Mooney, and I think he is also just a pretty good football player, and so I think that will help him kind of grow and develop into this role as well, and let him kind of be a bigger part of the offense. So I think that is also a play for you in different fantasy leagues. I think the ad is done whamming you now, Conrad. So again, an ad free hello, and thank you for stopping in. I appreciate it. I know we're both in Josh's fantasy league, and we haven't played each other yet. I have. Not that anyone needs to hear about someone bitching about their own fantasy team. I have lost all 3 games in that league, and the biggest spread has been 5 points. I have been just right there every time, and I'm getting very annoyed by it. Now, part of that's my fault, because I've been projected to win every week, and it hasn't worked out. So it is on me, but that's been very frustrating. So that's my only little fantasy football bitch of the day. At the tight end spot, 29% owned, Colby Parkinson. 12 targets in the first 3 games. There's not a lot of great options in that offense right now, and that is, I think, going to help out Parkinson greatly. Matthew Stafford still looks like he is fantastic, and I think there's going to be more and more opportunities for Parkinson to again, grow into this offense a little bit more. So I think there's a chance that he puts up some numbers, and it's tight end in fantasy. We're not looking for something great. The number 1 ad on tight end right now is Cole Kmet, and the reason for that probably is he scored a touchdown last week right after everyone dropped him. So this is a position that's very frustrating to deal with, and one that I think you have... we're throwing darts here every week, guys, is what we're doing. Hopefully some of these darts help out Conrad, at 0-3. I think that's, I'm living that in a couple of leagues this year. It's been a frustrating start, but don't give up. We're going to battle through this. We're going to grind through it together. And I got a thing coming up here in a couple of minutes. It's going to show you how annoying this whole thing can be. Our defense for the week is Cincinnati. They are 28% owned. They're facing Carolina. Yes, Carolina just won their last game. Yes, it was against my favorite team. No, I don't think they can do that again. That's basically what I'm banking all of this on, is my assumption that what Carolina did last week is not sustainable and not something they're going to be able to do on a week-in, week-out basis. Now, I will say the whole revenge thing for Andy Dalton does provide a bit of intrigue and a little bit of concern for this. Also, them losing to Washington on Monday night gives you a bit of pause as well. But I do think that this is going to be a defense that can at least take advantage of Andy Dalton. And I think that Lou Anarumo, holy hell. All tongue-tied today. I do think defensive coordinator Lou is going to be able to lock this thing down and kind of take advantage of a subpar offense moving forward.